That's really funny you mentioned that, because I thought that what he said was very profound,
Mm,
because usually the part that we stop at is, God, give me strength to resist the temptation.
yeah.
But he said, God, give me the grace to want to change. Give me the grace to not want this, change my desire to want you,
Yeah.
because I probably will sin. You know, as I'm praying right now, I'm asking you the grace, but I still want to do this sin, and I still might do this sin. And
Yeah,
he's
dude.
recognizing that, and he said, change that part of me.
Yeah.
That's so real.
Yeah.
That's very real. One of my pet peeves is the idea that recognizing or saying those parts out loud is scandalous.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, yeah.
You know, I think that, at least for me growing up, I thought it would be frowned upon if you were to say those things, you know. Yeah, I'm praying for this, but I still want to do this thing.
Yeah.
But it's such a humble and real thing to say that, to just admit that. Don't you?
Ye-
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, dude, because when I heard that, I always thought it was kind of scandalous too. Like, I'm asking God for this, but there's that part of me that still wants to do it and
Mm-hmm.
sort of like knows I'm gonna do it again, And so
Mm-hmm.
it is really profound, and I never thought about it in
Yeah.
that way, to like,
It's funny because it comes from a comedian, somebody who isn't uh, devout, practicing Catholic, for example. But the danger of people judging you is exactly that. It's, well, if the people I love and the authority religious figures tell me that I'm bad for continuing to sin, you know, I'm weak, or I'm being scandalous by saying that I still want to do something, but I also want to stop. The danger is you give up and you don't think you're ever good enough for God or for religion. But what he said was great. What he said was good. Yeah, because it seems like there is this tendency to hide what you actually feel and think. Even when you're in groups, large groups of people, it's like everybody has to act like they're perfect.
yeah,
You know, it's like there's this fear that if you admit the truth about how you actually view sin and about how you actually feel, then you'll be, cast away or something.
yeah. No, dude, that's 100% true, and I think that's what turned me off to, just Christianity as a broad term in general, was I always just felt like I was never good enough, and I'm going to be judged for the things I've done, but I don't think that that's true. That's not what God or Jesus showed us here. Jesus specifically in his lifetime. Jesus showed us that unconditional love. And naturally as humans, I just think that that's very hard for us to practice and wrap our heads around, is the
Mm.
idea of unconditional love, and just not judging others, because nobody is perfect. We all have our things that we struggle with, and like you said, it's not very common for people to be open about those things. So it's like, why should we expect perfection from others when in reality, as perfect as one might present themselves to you, they're far from perfect.
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. When you accept the imperfection in yourself, it makes it easier for you to be in healthy relationship with others.